Anything else?
No, thanks. How much do you owe you?
Just 50.
Right. Out.
Did you see Ken, then? About the twins?
My journey was what you might call not really necessary.
Oh?
It's getting somebody in full time to look after them.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't feel sorry for me, love. I mean, it's saving me and my Cyril a lot of inconvenience.
Yes, I suppose there is that.
Mrs. Tatlock, I feel sorry for her. I mean, she's had an awful shock, I can tell you.
Sparkling morning.
Glad you think so.
Ah, take no notice, Miss Nugent. She's just had a bit of a disappointment. Over the twins.
Oh, dear, I could rather see that one coming.
Yeah, so could I.
Half a dozen whipped cream walnuts, please.
Hey, thought you were slimming.
Only intermittently. This sudden craving for walnuts suddenly seems to sweep over me.
Oh, yes.
It has done ever since I was a small child.
Morning.
Morning.
Mrs. Sharpless.
Oh, Peggy, going to hold that warehouse against me for the rest of my life. I don't suppose you've seen any Colwell today, have you?
It's funny you should say that, Mrs. Sharples.
Why?
I've not seen her for a couple of days. You haven't served her lately, have you, Emma?
Who?
Mrs. Colwell.
Oh, I heard she got invited to that Georgie Best party and was never seen again.
Now that you mention it, she doesn't seem to have crossed my path either. I hope she's all right.
Who's that then?
Well, Mrs. Caldwell, we were just remarking on the fact that she does seem to have dropped from the scene just lately.
Oh, you've not to worry about that, Chuck.
Oh?
No. Milk's been taken in every morning as per usual, and that's a sign, isn't it? I mean, that's what you have to keep your eyes open for with OAPs, you know, whether the milk's been taken in or not.
And that's why you do it, isn't it, ma'am? Not because you knows it or nothing like that, but I mean because it's part of your civic duty.
Exactly. Couldn't have put it better myself, Chuck.
Well, that settles that then, doesn't it?
It does as far as I'm concerned. If she wants me, she knows where she can find me.
Yes, I suppose so.
Raspberry jelly, please.
Mrs. Caldwell? Mrs. Caldwell? Mrs. Caldwell? Are you up there? Why, Mrs. Caldwell, whatever's the matter?
Oh, I'm all right, thank you. I've just got this bit of a cold, that's all.
I'm sorry to come barging in like this, but nobody seemed to have seen you.
Well, no, I haven't been out much just lately.
You're quite sure you're all right?
Quite sure, thank you.
Shall I light the fire for you?
Oh, no, thank you. I'm quite warm enough up here.
Mrs. Sharples is back.
Yes, I thought she might be.
I tell you, you're not feeling very well.
Oh, no, thank you. I'd rather you didn't if you don't mind.
Well, I'm sure if she knew you were feeling poorly, she'd...
Well, I'd still rather you didn't.
Oh, well, you're quite sure that there's nothing I can do for you?
No, there's nothing at all.
Your front door was unlocked. That's how I got in.
Oh, I'm always doing that silly trick. Will you pull it through, too, for me, please, when you go?
Yes. And I'll call again.
If you want.
Look, how many times do I have to tell you, nobody's trying to put your nose out, and there's no reason on earth why you and Dad shouldn't come and live here if you want to.
You don't want to.
I never said that.
There are some things you don't have to say, not in words.
Oh, there you are, then.
Oh, now don't you start, Uncle Albert. It's got nothing to do with you.
Oh, but it has, hasn't it? Because, I mean, it's my sister-in-law what's been insulted.
All right, it's my kids that all the fuss is about. For the 99th time, nobody's being insulted.
Oh, well, what do you call it, then? Going outside the family circle, importing labour that our idiot to do a job that our idiot...
Rubbish. Don't you think Mother's
standing on her
Mother's got enough to do with Dad without looking after Susan and Peter as well? I mean, with the best will in the world, she's... Well, it's a young woman's job.
Oh, I don't hand him a bed out like you. Look, what would our Valerie want?
Oh,
if
now
you
don't
said-
give me that again.
Look, I'm asking a straight question. I want a straight
All right, well, I'll
answer.
give you a straight answer then, Uncle Albert. I don't know what Val would have wanted, but I know what she wouldn't have wanted, and that's my mother here to bring up the kids. Not just because of the state of Dad's health, but because she and Mother never saw eye to eye on anything, and certainly not on bringing up the kids.
By God, you got a cruel tongue.
Well, you wanted a straight answer, and I gave it you, Uncle Albert. I'm sorry if anybody's upset. I really am. Didn't mean to hurt anybody, but you come in here, give me all that claptrap about what Val wanted.
Claptrap's what you
Well,
call
yes,
it,
in
is
this
it?
context, it certainly is. Now, if you want to make a contribution to this dialogue, Uncle Albert, try and get it over to Mother there that nobody's trying to get rid of her. And that I, for one, would be very glad if she stayed.
Now, look, Kit. Well, I suppose somebody ought to be here to show the young woman the ropes until she gets properly settled in.
Well, you're not suggesting I can actually be of use to somebody, are you?
Good morning, Mr. Dewhurst.
Mrs. Walker, you're looking well this morning.
Why, thank you.
Will you have a small port or something with me?
Not before sundown, if you don't mind, Mr. Dewhurst.
Mrs. Walker, the brewery's on the phone about that Duff barrel we sent back.
Oh, yes. Will you excuse me?
Of course.
Hello, Squire. You're the bloke that's looking for me.
Yes, I did want to have a word with you, but not just here, if you don't mind.
All right.
No news of Mrs. Caldwell, then? Still all on your own here?
Well, you've got eyes, haven't you?
Not the same, though, is it, supping on your own? Not like supping in congenital company.
Well, that depends, doesn't it?
What, Anne?
On what sort of company's going.
My dad.
Yes. You see, it's a bit difficult to know how to put it to you. I'm president of your dad's old bowling club.
Yeah?
A great pals, me and your dad. Anyway, that's all by the way. Oh. He's a great hand with the woods, was Jack. He won the annual challenge trophy 3 years running.
Yeah, I know. That's the trophy over there on the shelves now.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk to you about.
Yeah?
Well, between you and me, things have been going from bad to worse at the club just lately. What with all this slum clearance around the green, half our memberships disappeared overnight. But to put it bluntly, there's not tuppence left in the kitty.
Well, what do you want from us? An annual subscription or something?
I want more than that, son. I want that trophy back. Oh, I know your dad run it outright. You most likely think it's a bit of cheek of me asking for it. But we're desperate, so I am asking. And don't think I enjoy doing so, because I don't. That trophy will give us a bit of a leg up. Create interest.
All right. You wouldn't sooner settle for 2 or 3 of the crown jewels, would you?
As bad as that, is it?
Now, what do you think? Thank you, love.
I don't suppose you've heard anything about that community centre job yet, have you?
Don't give over, love. Even the foundations aren't. The foundation stones aren't laid yet.
Never mind that. You know as well as I do that this sort of job usually gets given to somebody's cousin 6 times removed, even before it's been advertised.
Don't worry about it, love. As soon as that job comes on the market, you'll be the first to know. I'll guarantee that.
Well, I
Can't
hope
say
I
any
am.
further.
Mrs. Sharples.
What's up with you?
Well, it's not me as much as Mrs. Caldwell.
Oh? What about her? I wish folk were as interested in me.
Well, she did specifically ask me not to tell you, but I'm worried about her, and I suppose I didn't exactly give my bond.
Well, go on, spit it out.
Well, her story is that she's taken to her bed with a cold, but I can't help thinking there's more to it than that.
Yes.
Minnie Caldwell was never put on her back with a cold in her life. She's the wrong generation.
Well, exactly. So I know there's a sort of armed truce with you and Mrs. Caldwell at the moment, but if you could just make the first move.
Yes.
I'll think about it.
Where is he today, then?
Oh?
That big fat fella that usually stands next to you, propping bar up.
Hey, you, what do you call him fat? He is me dad. He isn't he?
Of course he is.
I mean, Stanley might be built along generous lines, but he's just big boned, isn't he, Mother?
Yeah, that's right, Chuck. And I tell you, there's many a one round here who'd give their right arm for a man like my Stanley.
Oh, do you reckon?
Oh, aye. He might not be no Albert Epstein, but when he gets hold of you, ooh, it's like being shut up in a wardrobe.
You decided to stay on a little bit longer than have you, love?
Well, it's not from choice.
No?
No, but if Ken will insist on bringing an outsider in, well, I suppose the least I can do is to, well, stay and help her to get adjusted to the children. If it's only for the children's sake.
Well, lucky you've taken this attitude. I mean, you could have been very, very funny about that. You had good reason to be.
Oh, hello, Betty.
Hello. I'll get on my way.
No, don't go. Let me introduce you. Margaret Lacey. This is my mother-in-law, Mrs. Tetlock, and this is Betty Turpin. Mrs. Lacey will be looking after the twins from now on.
Pleased to meet you.
Hello. How do you do?
Hello.
Well, Greta Garbo.
Oh, so you're back then?
I'll be back 2 days if you're interested.
Well, I've been out of sorts.
Oh, what with?
Well, I've had a cold.
You must be getting soft in your old age.
Maybe I am.
And maybe I'm not as green as I'm cabbage looking, so I'll thank you to stop spinning fairy stories and tell me what's been exactly going on round here, as though I haven't already guessed.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about that fancy fireplace you've had fitted downstairs, the one you can't afford a fire for because you've skint yourself paying for it.
Well, it's my business what to do with my own money.
It's everybody's business when you frighten us all to death by locking the door and taking to your bed for no good reason.
There was a very good reason. I'd no money for coal, and I won't buy on tick, and this was the only place I could get warm.
Well, how come you've got no money at this time of the week?
Oh, it's these decimals. I've tried to think decimal, and then I get all mixed up, and then the bill came for the grate, and well, it took all my money.
Well, couldn't you have asked Len Fairclough to wait for his money?
Oh, I've never owed any money in my life. Only just at that once, and I'm not going to start now.
Here.
No, I can't accept charity.
I'm not offering any. Here. And I want that back as soon as the post office opens next pension day. Dear me, it seems to me you haven't got the brains you were born with.
Well, I know what I have got.
What?
My pride.
I'll get the children's tea ready, Mrs. Lacey, as it's your first day.
That's all right, Mrs. Tatlock. It's no trouble.
Are you sure?
Oh, quite sure, thanks. If I'm going to be doing the job, I might as well get on with it.
I find they like eggy things and little sandwiches when they come home from school.
Oh, yes.
Ken, I'll pick them up from school today. I've got to go to the shops anyway. I promised him a couple of lollies.
I didn't bother today, Mother.
Well, it's no bother.
No, I thought I might pick them up. I've got nothing else to do.
Oh.
And I thought perhaps Mrs. Lacey might like to come with me. By the time it's any to meet the kids when they're in a good mood after school.
Yes, well, just as you like. When they're trying to be helpful.
Oh, I hope you know what you're letting yourself in for, Mrs. Lacey, with my two tearaways. I must say, my opinion of British motherhood has gone up 300% in the last few weeks.
Really?
I don't know how Val used to look after them, run a home, and keep a job down. Takes me all my time without working.
It's largely a matter of routine, I think. Routine and method. A well-behaved child is a secure child.
I don't know if Val was all that hot on routine, but whatever method she used certainly seemed to work.
Ken, could we have a word, love?
Well, of course, yeah.
Oh, I'll just take these upstairs.
It's just that I wanted to... Well, I'm going to get the 4:30 train to Glasgow, love.
Glasgow? I see, as final as that. Well, in that case, I'm sorry, Mother.
Are you? Yes, perhaps you are. Anyway, it's best to go now while we're all still friends. Very obviously, Mrs. Lacey has her ideas, and I've got mine. And then 2 women in one kitchen won't mix, love. Would you get a taxi for me?
I really am sorry, Mother.
We've had a packet, haven't we, Ken? Both of us.
What do you mean, Betty? She was funny with you, or what?
Well, no, not funny. I mean, that sort never are they? Until they're a bit more sort of sure of themselves. No, it was a smile.
A smile?
Yeah, it was about as warm as a flagged floor.
Hey, Chuck, what do you think?
What do I think about what?
Ken Barlow. He's bringing a woman in.
In here?
No, to look after Peter and Susan.
No.
Yeah. I expect he thought none of us could give him the sort of upbringing to what they was accustomed to, you know.
Well, I'll say something for you, ma'am. There's not much goes on round here that you don't know about first. Well, not today, like.
Well, it's just a case of keeping your eyes and ears open, that's all.
Not to mention your gob.
When's she coming then, this here woman?
Oh, well, there's no date been fixed definitely yet, Chuck, but don't worry. Soon as there is, your man will be the first with the news.
Billy, there's somebody here for you.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
You said you had an idea.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, well, shall we sit down?
Oh, no, it's all right. She's gone out shopping. About this thingamabob of yours.
Did you mention it to her?
Not yet, no.
Oh.
No, I was going to, but then I had this idea. That's why I phoned you.
Well, what idea?
Well, first of all, let's consider the nature of the beast.
Eh?
Well, my mum.
Oh.
Now, when my dad was the great white hope of your bowling club, I don't remember a single afternoon when she let him go off without complaining at him for going.
I see.
Yeah, but when he came home with a nice, big, flashy cup to decorate the shelves with, she was the first to take the credit for it all. You see what I mean?
Yes, I see what
In
you
other
mean, but...
words, she's got no more interest in bowling than I have in, well, hopscotch. Except when it comes to the glory for it all.
Well, what are you suggesting?
Listen.
I hope you're not putting yourself off your tea, Albert Tatlock.
You got no need to worry about me. No, puts me off my tea.
But in case you've forgotten, Emily Nugent brought these fancies here to try and tempt Madam here back to the land of the living. Not for you to stuff your face with.
What are you on about? I've not but had 2.
She only brought 6.
Oh, don't barge him in. I'm so glad of all of your company. It's just like a tea party.
Tea, Mr. Tatlock.
Yes, thank you, love. 2 spoonfuls of sugar.
Here, God help them as helps themselves.
Never too late to start, even at your age.
And I'm ever so grateful for the lend of your electric fire, Miss Nugent.
Not at all. It's something I only use very occasionally when the weather's really bitter.
There you are, love. 1 bag of best coal burning for the use of. And as a gesture of goodwill on the part of the friendly neighbourhood coalman, I'll light the first sticks for you.
Oh, well, I'm not having it for nothing.
What do you think we are, love? The Sally Army? You're not getting it for nothing. You'll pay for it next week, if you can afford it. Or the week after that, or maybe the week after that. Has anybody got a box of matches? I don't have to rub 2 Boy Scouts together.
Oh, you've all been that good to me, I don't know what to say.
Well, don't try. But remember next time that nobody's that independent that they can afford to hide away. I suppose we can all carry some of the blame. If it can happen in a street like this where we're all living in one another's pockets, I suppose it can happen anywhere.
Can you hang on for a couple of minutes? Great, thank you. There's still time to change your mind now about that.
Goodbye, Ken. Look after them for me. Don't let them lose touch.
Oh, well. You sure you wouldn't rather wait until they get home from school?
I'm sure.
You keep in touch, too.
I will.
I'm sorry, have I come at a bad moment? I was just wondering if you had change for £1 for the gas, you know.
Oh, come on, Hilda. You can do better than that.
Beg your pardon?
Change for £1, she said.
Well, that's her on her way then.
Yeah, it'll seem like a long way to Glasgow.
A lot longer than it seemed coming, I bet.
Yeah.
Yes, a sliced loaf, please.
Right. Aren't you Mrs. Lacey? The one who's looking after Ken's twins?
That's right.
Maggie Clegg. This is Ken's sister-in-law, Mrs. Barlow.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. Have you met them then yet, the twins?
Yes, we took them up after school.
Yeah, nice couple of kids, aren't they?
Most children are nice, give them the chance.
No, but I've always thought Susan and Peter was especially nice, you know.
Very likely.
What do you mean?
Well, you're related to them.
Only by law. Why, what's wrong with them, any road?
I didn't say there was anything wrong with them. I'm sure we'll get on very well. Good afternoon.
I'm sure we'll get on very well. I can see what your Betty meant with that one and all.
Well, Mrs. Walker, what do you think?
Well, first of all, Mr. Dewhurst, let me say that I do appreciate your position. But by the same token, you must appreciate mine.
Of course.
You see, to you, that cup over there, though an important one, is still just another trophy. Whereas to me, well...
Yes, well, I think Mr. Dewhurst was just coming to that, weren't you, Harold?
Well, there was one other thing we hadn't mentioned, Mrs. Walker, because I was afraid you might think I was taking advantage of your feelings, like.
Yes?
Well, after my talk with your Billy this morning, I called a special meeting at the club about all this.
I didn't know you'd already had a talk with Billy.
Oh, yes. And the outcome of it was that, as this means so much to you as a memento of Jack, if you'll let us have it back, we'll rechristen it the Jack Walker Memorial Cup.
And the first presentation will, of course, be made by Mrs. Anne Walker of the Rovers Return.
That's right. Well, what do you say, Mrs. Walker?
I don't really know what to say, Mr. Dewhurst. You say you arrived at this decision after your chat with Billy this morning?
Yes.
Well then, Billy, you seem to have advised Mr. Dewhurst very well. What do you advise me to do?
Oh, well, yeah, well, it's your decision, Mum.
You surprise me.
Well, I mean, the trophy will be of more use to the club than it was stuck on our shelves. And anyway, it'll save Ilda Ogden half an hour's cleaning a week.
Yes, I'll have to watch you, Billy Walker.
Well, Mrs. Walker?
Well, there's something I want to say to you about this cup, Mr. Dewhurst. I can still remember the look on my Jack's face when he walked through that door with it, as if it were yesterday.
I see.
Yes, he looked as though he'd won the pools. And when he won it outright, well, he was like a schoolboy. Meant a lot to my husband, this trophy, Mr. Dewhurst. Means a lot to me.
Well, if it's going to upset you so much parting with it, Mrs. Walker, I'm sure we can find something else.
So, what I want to say to you is this. Whoever wins this trophy, I hope they take the same good care of it that my Jack did. Otherwise, well, they'll personally have to give me the reason why.
No need to worry about that, Mrs. Walker. I'll see to that if I have to go around every week and polish it myself. And thank you very much. You don't know what you've done for us.
Oh, not at all.
Yeah, I wonder if... No, perhaps not.
Perhaps not what, Mr. Dewhurst?
Well, what I was wondering was, if you'd let me show my appreciation in a more tangible way. Well, let me ask you to come out to dinner, say tomorrow night. Just a gesture of me and my club's appreciation.
Dinner? Me? I hardly think.
Afraid it might set all the tongues wagging?
Certainly not.
Oh, sorry. Well?
Why not? Shall we say 7 o'clock?